and welcome back to another video on my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to create, I'm going to give you a tutorial for how to create a sort of shelf, I guess. I've seen these on Instagram and I really wanted to know how to make one, but I could not find a tutorial and I could not find a cutting file. And so I decided that I would just kind of put one together myself, and I like the way that it turned out, or I like the idea of it in my head, and so I'm gonna film it, and if it turns out good, then I'm gonna share this video with you guys. So I did do a little bit of prep work and I have put it together partially. So I have measurements for if you want to create yours exactly like mine, but I'm also gonna show you if you want to create it with different measurements, okay? So the first thing I did is that I knew that I wanted to have my shelves to not really be shelves, but more of a box without a lid, because then I can put things in here that won't fall off instead of just having like a shelf. Okay, so I decided to create the box first and then picked my size. So in order to do that, the first thing I decided was how deep I wanted it. With a little bit of trial and error, I decided that I would go with 1 1/4 inches. So my sides are all 1 1/4 inches. And I decided that I would make my box about 7 inches, because I figured that if I made it any longer, because I don't have a support in the middle and I don't want it to fall through, so I decided if I just made it this size, I would have a sturdier box. But you can make yours longer if you wanted to. You could use the whole 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper and make it a little bit longer if you wanted to. That is your choice. So I decided to go with 3.5 by 7 for mine. And like I said, you can make them longer up to, you know, what you can do with your 8.5 or 12 by 12 piece of paper. Okay, so the measurements that I'm going to give you are for this size box, but like I said, you can change it up. You can make it wider if you want to. You can make it narrower if you want to. I was thinking maybe I could make it just a tad narrower, but I'm going to go with this for now, and then once I see it, maybe I'll make another one where they're a little bit narrower. Or I was also thinking that another fun way to do it would be to make the bottom one really wide or wider, and then the middle one a little bit narrower, and the top one even narrower, so that it kind of steps up. But that's just a thought that I had. So this is not my original idea. This is just my tutorial. I don't know how other people are putting theirs together, if they're using the cutting file or whatever, but I'm just going to show you how I made mine. Okay, so to start off, we're going to make 3 of these. And to do that, what you need is a piece of paper that is 9.5 by 6. And again, that is only to make your box in the exact same measurement as mine. Okay, so I'm going to start with my piece of paper that once again is 9.5 by 6, and I'm going to go all the way around, and I'm going to score mine at 1 1/4, because I wanted a 1 1/4 inch depth. You could go with a 1 inch, you could go with a 1.5, you could go with it deeper if you wanted to. So that's it. So that's all we're going to do. We're going to score both of them at 1 1/4 all the way around. Also, I am using 110 pound cardstock because I need it to be sturdy. Okay, so you need 3 pieces of paper like that, 3 pieces of cardstock like that. You can use regular cardstock if you don't have 110 pound, and you could just double the bottom maybe if you wanted to. You could get creative if you need to. Okay, so like I said, you're going to start with 3 of these, and I have 2. I already have one made, so we're going to make, we're going to go ahead and put these 2 together. I'm just going to cut up on all of my tabs here, just like so. Then I'm just going to give it a nice angle cut on both sides because that will help it look nicer when we finish it off. We won't have anything hanging out of our finished box. Okay, we're going to do that to all 3 of our pieces. I like to work in an assembly line, so as I'm doing each step, so I'm doing the scoring, and then I'm doing the trimming, and then I'm doing the folding and the putting together, all together, you know what I mean? Okay, then I'm gonna throw that away. And then because it is easier, I'm going to go ahead and get the piece of paper that I have for matting it. I'm going to go ahead and put that on while it is flat. I cut this piece to 1 1/8 by 6 7/8, which is just giving me about a 1/16 of a border all the way around the whole thing. Okay, we're going to go ahead and do that to all of the pieces, or to all of our boxes. And just in case you're wondering, I am using Prima's Apricot Honey paper to mat this. Okay. And then I would also put another piece of pattern paper on the inside of this box. I just haven't done that yet because I don't know if I'm going to for sure. But I'm going to do that. I can do that part later after I start to put it together if I want to. Okay. All I'm doing now is creasing my folds, because what that's going to do is that's going to make it go together easier when I am adhering it. I'm making sure I'm remembering that my patterned paper needs to be on the outside of the box. Okay. And then we're just going to put I am only putting adhesive on the little square tabs that I cut. If you made boxes before, then this should come pretty easy to you. I'm going to fold those in and line up the edge of this with the corner fold there. Just line it up so it looks nice and neat. Same thing there. And on this side. Whoops. Try that again. There we go. Then I'm just going to use my bone folder and make sure that I have really good stick. And then we're going to do the same thing to this piece. Okay. Okay, again, we're gonna ensure that these are really stuck down. The benefit of matting this inside would be to add a little bit of added security to it as well. Okay, so now we've got all our drawers done. The next part, you're going to take 2 pieces. This is, again, 110-pound cardstock. And I've got 2 pieces here that are 3.5 by 12. And the way that or by 11, I'm sorry. And the way that I got that measurement is it is the width of my box. So right here, this measurement. And then I just went by 11 because that's how tall I wanted it to be. I've got 2 pieces and I'm going to adhere them together. Because this is the side piece, I really wanted it to be sturdy. I was going to use chipboard, but unfortunately, I could not spend a lot of time trying to find where I have put my chipboard. So we're going to just, that was really dumb. You don't really need the tape on both sides like that. Line them up and then stick them down just like that. And then, actually, I'm not going to use this one then. I'll just use this for now. Alright, and then just to make it look pretty, I have a piece of the patterned paper. This is it's just 1/8 of an inch shorter on both sides. Just for decoration. And then you're going to do that twice. So you've got 2 of them. Okay? And then these are going to be the sides of your shelving unit. Okay? So we got that. Now the last step then, now this step is to make it easier to put together. I'm going to find my pencil. Here's my pencil. I'm going to put this up here. I know that I want so I decided in advance where I wanted my boxes to lay. I wanted them to be up 1/2 inch on the bottom. So I started with that measurement. And then I knew that I wanted it down from the top as well. I don't want it to go all the way to the top. So I just went ahead and kind of made my own type of measurement from that. Now all I'm going to do is make a little pencil mark at all of my okay, so I'll show you what I did, how I got that. So I knew where I wanted the bottom one, so I drew a line there. That was 1/2 inch from the bottom. And then where I wanted my top one to end was 1¼ inches from the top. So I drew those 2 lines, okay? And then I knew that my box is 1¼ inches wide. So I drew a line 1¼ inches from the top line, and I drew a line 1¼ inches from the bottom line, okay? What that then did is it left me with the space in the middle. So what I needed to do is I took this piece here and I lined it up with this line here. I folded them in half until those 2 pieces lined up. I don't know, there's probably an easier way to do this. This is just how I did it. And then I folded it like that, and that was my center mark. So right there, that meant that my middle piece had to be right in there, and that's how I have an exact even space on the top and the bottom. So I'm going to tell you where mine are. Okay, so my first mark is at, maybe I didn't go half an inch, maybe I did more. Okay, so I did 3/4 of an inch from the top, or from the bottom, I mean. I did 3/4 of an inch from the bottom, and then up from that would be 2. And then my next mark is at 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/8, 4 5/8. And then 1 1/4 inch from that. And then my last mark is at 10 3/4 and 1 1/4 inch up from that. So let's see. I've got, my very first mark was at, this mark here was at 3/4 in. And then I just went down 1 1/4 inch, or the depth of my box, 1 1/4 inch from there. Then this one here was at 1 1/4. This is the top of my box. This is at 1 1/4 up. I know it sounds confusing, but trust me. And then I made a mark 1 1/4 down because that's the depth of my box. Right in here, that's where my box is going to go. Okay, so that's the depth of my box. And then I went up here, and let me just tell you where that I put that measurement. So that measurement, it starts at, does it really start at 6? It's about 4 5/8, and then 1 inch, 1 1/4 inches from there. And then that's another box. And then the last box is right there. Okay? So you can do it however you want to do it. That's just how I went about it. Now I'm going to take my straight edge ruler, and I'm going to draw a line there. And I'm going to take my straight edge ruler, and I'm going to draw a line here. I'm drawing a line on the bottoms, where the bottoms of all of my boxes end up. Okay. Then I'm going to do the same thing on this piece. I'm just going to bring my lines over a little bit. Take this piece, bring him down, and whoops. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my adhesive, whichever, I need to put more in here because I need to use, nope, let's use this one. This is a good strong adhesive. We'll use this. Okay. Whichever adhesive you like the best, you're going to want to use that adhesive, and you're going to want to run it right along that bottom line that you put there, okay? And then I also like to run one along the top, but don't go over. And again, you can do this with whatever adhesive you prefer. I was going to just use my ATG. That's what I used on my sample one, but I ran out and I don't want to take the time to fill it while I'm on video. So I'm just going to use what I've got here. And this one. If you want your box to be a little bit, or your shelf to be a little bit taller, you can also use a 12 by 12 paper, or like I said, you could use chipboard if you wanted it to be sturdier. I was going to use my chipboard, but I just couldn't find it. Okay. All right. Now we're going to do this one here. I probably could have saved a lot of time by doing them together, but oh well. Just try the best you can to get it straight. It's not going to show. Nothing that you do in here is going to show. And hopefully we're going to cover our pencil marks. And one more. So the reason that we drew the line is because it's going to help us to get the drawers on, or the boxes, or whatever you want to call them, the shelves, to get them on straight. Okay. I also wanted to give you a little tip too. Say you want to use shelves and you don't want to use drawers, but you want to be able to have this decorative element on there. Then what you want to do is create this, maybe a little bit thinner though, and then put it on there upside down so that this is what you see instead of this. That's a good way to have a shelf, but to also have the decoration. Okay, now I'm going to apply one of the shelves. The best and easiest way to do that is to start with just one. And what I'm going to do is I'm holding the box at an angle and I'm going to line it up just at that pencil mark. And then I'm also going to make sure that it is lined up with the front part of my box. And what that does is it gives me a nice smooth finish there. And it does look like it's lined up. I'm going to erase the pencil mark that I had. And then get some really good adhesive there. Okay. Then I'll do the same thing on this one. Okay. I'm gonna line this up. Whoops. Make sure that if you did put the pattern paper on the outside, that you are keeping that all to one direction. It's very important. Oops. Okay. And then we're going to do our last one. And I'm going to erase my pencil mark before I take the tape off. I would do that if I was you because I got a little bit of tape left over in this one. And now you can see the eraser bits, they stuck to the tape. I'm not going to let it bother me too much. If it really bothers me, then I'll just mat this part of the box. But we'll see if I can see it when it's together. Again, make sure that your patterned paper is all facing the same way. And then we're just going to line this up. And it's lined up. There we go. Now this is what you're left with. And now you've got this. So now we're going to put this part on. Another thing I forgot to mention is that you want to make sure that you're using, because we have a higher lip left over at the top than we do at the bottom. So you want to make sure that you're using the right side for both of them too. Okay. And also I am only going to do one set of tape at a time. I'm going to do it in much the same way. I'm lining it up the very edge of my box with my pencil mark. Then I'm going to turn it around, get my bone folder on that. Then I'm going to remove the tape. From this side. And again, I'm going to line this up. Once you get to this part, it's a little bit harder because it's fighting me, but it's still working. Okay, and then the last little piece. Again, we line this up. And stick it down. Then when you're done, there is your shelving unit. And it will stand up like that. And it looks really cool. And then here's where you could decorate it some more. Give it some more decoration. You could make these narrower. You can change up any of the measurements that you want to. Another thing that I was thinking about doing, but I chose not to on this one, was creating a thin little box so that I had more of a frame on the outside. So I would have just created a little, a thin little box with maybe a 1/4 of an inch depth, so that you had that instead of just the straight line. But I don't mind this. I think it's going to be okay. I'm going to fill this and decorate it, and I will share that picture, and I will share that as another video. But for now, you know how to make this, and you can decorate it however you want. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions, and I know I was a little bit confusing and not very clear, but if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below, and I will try to answer, okay? I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope that you try to make it. Bye-bye now.